Hi, it's Deanna, and tonight I wanted to show you antique depression glass. So this is such a piece that's in my collection. So depression glass is clear or colored translucent machine-made glassware that was distributed free or at low cost in the United States and Canada around the time of the Great Depression. Depression glass is called such because collectors generally associate mass-produced glassware with the years surrounding the Great Depression in America. Now, an interesting fact is the Quaker Oats Company and other food manufacturers and distributors put a piece of glassware in boxes of food as an incentive to purchase them. Some movie theaters and businesses also handed out pieces to customers. Most of this glassware was made in the Ohio River Valley of the United States, where access to raw materials and power made manufacturing inexpensive in the first half of the 20th century. More than 20 manufacturers made more than 100 patterns, and entire dinner sets were made in some patterns. Common colors are clear, which is crystal, pink, pale blue, green, and amber. Less common colors include yellow, which is called canary, ultramarine, jadeite, which is an opaque pale green, delphite, which is an opaque pale blue, cobalt blue, red, which is ruby and royal ruby, black in color, amethyst in color, monox, and white milk glass. Some depression glass is uranium glass and it glows under a black light. So it's radioactive glass. It's safe, but it was a small amount of radiation or radium in there. But if you put it in a darkened area and get like a black light or ultraviolet, which is like a purple light, and you shine it on it, it will glow in the dark, which is pretty cool. Now, depression glass, although of marginal quality, depression glass has been highly collectible since the 1960s. Due to its popularity as a collectible, it is becoming more scarce on the open market. Rare pieces may sell for several $100s. Some manufacturers continue to make popular patterns after World War II or introduce similar patterns, which are also collectible. Popular and expensive patterns and pieces have been reproduced, and you got to be careful, and reproductions are still being made. So this is really actually a beautiful one. Now, I don't see too many of this particular kind. Now, the problem is that I'm not an expert on depression glass. So a lot of times it's very hard for me to figure out what these patterns are called. So to do a Google search, you need to really know what the patterns are called, because in order to find them, that's the way to find them. So I don't know. I don't know if you know. In the comments below, please tell me what I have here. I do know that it's from the Cambridge Glass Company. It has a triangle with the letter C in it marked on the bottom of the piece. I don't know if you can see it. Let me try to zoom in and show you what I mean. You see the letter C with the triangle? That's the known mark for it. Now, from the research I did, that mark was actually, it went on for many years, but that particular one, I believe, is from the late 20s to the early 1930s. Now, what's beautiful about this piece of glass is the color. It's a beautiful shade of amber, and it has a metal, like a really lovely metal handle that actually moves. So it pivots, and it has like a little pivoting joint on it. And what's really, really special about it is these little muses that go around it in almost like it looks like gold, but it's like a metal that was gilded gold. And you see these little like goddesses that go around it. Let me turn it and show you the different designs. Now we have a little bow as a design. And then as you turn it, you see a wreath, and that's on both sides of the handles. And then you see garlands with bows and the muse that goes around it. Now, it's just, I think it's really lovely. Now, another really interesting thing about this is that this glass comes out, and then you have the filigree basket that's gold gilded. And again, here's the mark if you want to see it. See the little C? I probably have it upside down. And again, oh my goodness, it's hard to see what I'm doing because I'm doing this with a cell phone. But you can get the gist of what the mark looks like. Now, this is pressed glass. This is very cheap. Now, there's a big difference between pressed glass and crystal. Like over here, I have crystal. Now, crystal is way heavier, and this type of glass, the pressed glass, was pressed into a mold. When it was hot and like molten, they had pressed it into a mold, and you'll see seams. So the difference between hand blown glass and crystal is you won't see seams like this. This is a dead giveaway that this is pressed glass. And so that's another tidbit. Now, also, again, crystal is way heavier than regular pressed glass. Now, I'm going to show you the difference between quality glass and depression glass. So we have this mousse design over here, which is almost French in design. And now I'm going to show you an antique French piece of glass with this type of mousse design. This particular piece of glass was probably from about 1915 to about, I'd say, about 1920s. And this was a popular design actually in the 20s, these little mousses that went around the pieces of glass. Now this is Baccarat glass, it's French, and look how thick it is. Let me zoom in to show you the top. You see how thick that glass is? Look how paper thin that glass is. Now good glass is usually thick like this. Now there's no mold seams on it at all. And this is hand-blown glass, and I'll show you another way to tell. Again, we don't have any seams on it. Now look at the beautiful frosting to this glass. On the bottom, do you see the round piece on the very bottom? See that, like that? That's a ground pontil. So they actually buffed it out and they sanded it, and that was hand blown. So they had to get rid of that like blob of glass that would have been in the center. So they filed it down and they actually made it smooth instead of rough. So, and because they had to cut what's called the pontil off of the glass when they blew it, and it leaves like a nasty little lump, and that's what they do. Good glass companies would do this back then. But this is, I mean, really, really sensational glass compared to very cheap, inexpensive glass of the day. I mean, it was like unbelievable how cheap this glass was. Well, it was during the Depression. People couldn't afford good glass like, say, this Baccarat glass. I mean, back then, this would cost somebody a heck of a lot of money compared to this. So once again, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys all soon. So long.